is a woman's right to choose.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Already,
my case is proven.
Oh.
She's grateful for the woman's right to choose. Sorry.
Oh, there's a little thread hanging out of your.
That's the
Oh,
ball.
I know. There's one on the other side
I just want
too.
to run up there.
I like my academic performance.
They're all
has been
distracted.
Very discouraged and bothered by that.
There's one on the other side.
I will bequeath this to you.
Oh, there's still a little bit more.
There's one on the
Oh.
other side. Pocket them.
Hey, take your other one.
I demanded A in this
Is
class.
there more?
On the other side.
What is with this jacket? Okay, well, speaking of loose threads,
Oh.
the right to life. A person has the right to life who isn't living. A person who is living doesn't have the right to live the life she wants. That's how I see abortion. The unlawful, the way to make abortion unlawful is to take rights away from the living to give them to someone who doesn't exist. So, yeah,
I disagree with that.
you do.
Yes.
Well, you know, I welcome that.
I believe
It means I don't have to prepare elections.
I believe that you said that taking the privileges away from someone who's living and then something that doesn't exist, I do believe that aborting is killing innocent life and that it is a person and that children who are aborted have the same rights as their mothers.
How would you argue that the fetus at 4 cells, let's say, is a person?
Well, it is proven that early on a fetus has a heart and circulatory system.
At what stage is that, though? I mean, we're talking early,
Yeah.
right? So, okay, so they have a heart, and what did you say?
Circulatory system.
Okay, and so does a termite.
Yeah, but
And our house has been killed termites.
but at the same time, human beings have personhood. We believe that, and adults, our personhood continues through as from when we're born through, and there's no point at which we lose that personhood or we gain it, and so there's nothing in when the fetus is inside the womb.
How would you define personhood?
Personhood?
You've used that term 2 or 3 times, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So it's not just a body or a couple cells. It has a soul and a mind and, in a sense, personality, I guess.
Even if the mind, the brain, which is speaking from a kind of a religious worldview, the brain is sort of the physical apparatus of the mind. If the brain doesn't exist, does the mind exist? And therefore, if the mind doesn't exist, does personhood exist?
I believe that personhood does exist
Even though there's no brain?
because the brain is physical.
Okay, but what if the brain isn't developed?
Um,
What if, I'm talking about early on, see, I think conceptually, if a woman knew she were pregnant, and it happens, a person finds out they're pregnant, early, don't they have if we could actually see that fetus, would we call that a brain? Because that brain is less developed than a salamander's brain at that point. Now, don't get me wrong, I believe we should save the salamanders. I don't have anything against salamanders, but how would you argue that an undeveloped brain is a full person?
I would connect that to the fact that God creates life, and God is a creator and sustainer of life, and He is the one who grants us personhood.
Just I'm curious, because I hear, are you a Christian?
Yes.
I hear Christians talk about God granting life. Does the Bible actually say something like that? Is it just general truth that you Christians talk about, or is there a particular verse or passage that I don't know about that says that God actually looks at a fetus as a full-blown human being?
Well, there's verses in the Bible that talk about God, like creating us in the womb, and how He, like He knit us together in our mother's wombs, and then.
Are you
there's-
making that up?
No.
Really? Where is there?
I think somewhere in Psalms.
Psalms?
Yeah.
Does somebody know?
Can I come to Rachel's help with Jeremiah 1:5, which says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you."
There, okay, that's what I'm asking for. How did you know that?
Because I'm also
Are you a
a Christian
Christian
with
too?
Rachel.
Did you go to the same Christian high school together? or something?
Actually, we
Yeah.
did.
You did?
We're the other buddies of this other worldviews class in high school.
Actually, your entire class.
If that were true, I
So now you're gay again.
Oh, now you're gay
okay,
again.
so Psalms in this Jeremiah, okay, so that's, isn't abortion, though, would you say that every fetus should be allowed to live a bad life? If you knew that that fetus was gonna live a bad life, let's say the mom didn't care about the child, was promiscuous in her sexual activity, becomes pregnant, and is not allowed an abortion, and the child would be born to a mom who doesn't care about that baby, and that's a good thing?
That's not, I mean, but the child being able to live is a good thing. The circumstances that, like, the situation that the child has no control over may not be a good thing, but also killing someone isn't a good thing. So-
Okay, did somebody have a hand? What's your name again?
Savannah?
Oh yeah, you're the Christian too.
Yes, I am.
What would you say?
What would I say? I would say that the value of a child isn't based on what the child is wanted or not. And you seem to be leading to the fact that really if a child isn't wanted, then it's neglected.
Roy, don't you too?
Well, of course, but wouldn't you also agree that most abusive and neglected children actually come from adoptions? And since most adoptions are because you're paying for that child and you want that child, on the contrary, you're seeing that the child that's wanted is actually more abused.
Yeah, but the wanting of the child puts it in a home, right? Puts it in a home that will take care of it. I'm saying if the child doesn't have the option of
Time.
wow. Good job. That was great.